Hello everybody. I am getting ready to start a new road bike build. This is going to be a Neo Retro build, and I'm going to go through all the parts that I'm using on this build and get some weights on them and share that with you. So this is going to be definitely a multi-part series because there's a lot to do. So first part here, I'm just going to go over what I'm doing here. The frame I picked up is called a Stout. It's a gentleman named Ron Stout that was a builder in Salt Lake City, Utah, back in the 80s. I had planned to do a Neo Retro build, but I wasn't sure what I was going to get. So on a trip last October, I stopped in at Golden Velo in Colorado, looking for a frame or kind of just looking to see what was there. And this frame, just as soon as I walked in, for whatever reason, it caught my eye. And then we looked at it, measured everything up, and it was nearly identical in size to the 3 Rencho that I have hanging here, which is a very, very nice ride. So yeah, this is a used frame. It was built in 1985. It is stamped with his serial number on the back here, or name and serial number on the bottom bracket. It's 304 485J, which I think that meant it was built in like June, I think, of 1985. So overall, it's in really great condition. Not sure if it's been refinished. I don't think it has. There's a little chipping here at the chainstay, which is kind of common. Other than that, there's not really any imperfections. Right here at the rear brake mount, there's a little bit of paint coming off there. A couple chips here and there, but nothing major. It looks in really great condition. One thing I researched and found is that he used, what was it? It was automotive grade, pretty toxic paint back in the day for the painters. So I think the finish should last for quite a while. I have put a ceramic coating on it, so hopefully that should help protect it. And when I picked it up, the rear chainstay was already spaced at 130 millimeters, which is what you need for a modern bike. So to get a weight on the frame, the frame comes in at 1,996 grams. So just under 2,000 grams, which for a steel road frame is not that bad. All right, and then it did come with a fork. It had the original fork with it, same, also in very good condition. Has his logo on one side, Columbus on the other, and then I don't know if you can see on the kind of the inner thing, a little gold dot and a black dot. So yeah, it looked really good. So the fork then comes in at 682 grams. So yeah, the fork is definitely got some weight to it. So one oddity on this frame, I really like the seat lug junction here, but he uses a standard size American bolt instead of a metric bolt on the seat tube. So that is the one odd thing that I have to remember and carry around, one random extra standard size Allen key. Okay, moving on. The next part, and probably one of the most critical parts that I wanted to do, and I found this, I'm really glad I did. I think I really like how this works. This is it's called the Innicycle threadless headset conversion. And so the way this works is very different from what a lot of people are doing to do threadless headset conversions. You know, a lot you use a standard 1-inch. This is a 1-inch headset. So you would use a 1-inch standard headset, and then you'd use an adapter and then put a stem on. So the way this works is it actually has modern sealed bearings that you can install for your headset cups. So you got nice modern steel headset cups to install. And then the way it works is, if you look here, the top race is actually part of the headset assembly. And so the way this would work is, once your cups are installed, this actually threads down and threads onto the steer tube. So then the extension becomes part of the steer tube, essentially. And then in addition, it does have a quill to bite onto the inside of the steer tube as well, to make sure it's nice and strong. So while it's not the lightest out there, I think that this is probably the best option for a 1-inch headset conversion. Once it's installed, then you can take your new modern stems, fits right on. Once you've got your stack, you can cut this tube down to the size that you want. So for all intents and purposes, it's going to look and function like a modern threadless assembly. So let's get a weight on this, because it is pretty heavy. But we're going to end up cutting that down. So that by itself weighs 239 grams. And then for comparison, I'm going to go grab a quill stem and standard headset in a second here. But so for comparison, 240, for comparison purposes, with the Ritchey stem, it's going to be 372. So 372 grams for the whole assembly. We'll probably lose a little bit of that weight after we cut down the stem on that. All right, so continuing on, as I said, in comparison to the Innicycle, I have a old 1-inch Shimano 105 headset. So I'll throw that on there, and then with the bearings in the package and the grease, the headset itself is 131 grams. And then I have a old Technic quill stem. This is a super tall one, so this would probably be this is going to be on the heavier side for quill stems. But that comes in at $495. So total with the quill stem and the headset, we're looking at $495, and the modern design, so the Innicycle, the Innicycle, the stem and headset bearings is $239, or the extension $239, and then the stem itself is $371. I think measured $385 last time, so scale's a little imbalanced, but yeah, so that's almost 100-gram difference between the Innicycle, which I actually thought was going to be heavier. So it's actually about 100 grams lighter than the equivalent quill stem headset and stem. There may be lighter stems than this. I'm not totally up onto what the best stems are, but yeah, this one definitely, like you can see, that's a pretty tall stem, just what I happen to have in the bin. So I'm sure there are lighter 100 grams. Next up, what we're going to talk about is the Groupset. So I decided that I was going to go with Campagnolo Super Record. I don't have any other bikes or anything that has any campy stuff at all on it. But part of the thought process on this build was that originally I was thinking about going with a Chorus silver group set, but I found an amazing deal on a Super Record crankset, so that kind of directed me down the whole the Super Record method. However, when I was researching the Stout bikes, I found that back in the 80s, he had built everything with Campagnolo, which realistically, I think most all custom bikes were probably getting built with Campagnolo back then. So I wanted to keep it kind of, legit to that. So decided the Campagnolo, and since I don't have it on anything, I figured it'd be good to build something with that up. And I wanted to keep it mechanical group set. So and 12 speed, because I've got modern bikes with 12 speed on them and 11 speed, but I really do like the 12 speed, so I wanted to stick with 12 speed. So I've got a mix of mostly new parts and a couple of used parts. The cassette, I was actually able to find a very good condition used cassette that I'm very happy with the condition of that. So we'll go ahead and get a weight on that. Get the zip tie off so we don't have any excess weight on there. So the Super Record cassette comes in at 285 grams. So that is that's quite light. From there, the one part that I decided not to do Super Record on this group set is the front derailleur, because if anybody knows, the Super Record front derailleur has a carbon cage, which I just didn't feel comfortable with going with the carbon cage on the front. And I did a little research, and I actually found that in the Super Record RS, I think, group set, interestingly, what they did is they actually they went to a metal cage, with just the only difference between that at that point is the titanium hardware. I think is realistically the only difference between Record and Super Record, aside from the carbon cage. But weight on the Super Record, or the Record front derailleur, is 82 grams. So I'm not sure how much you're really going to save there. One thing I did do with this is I picked up a what is this? Aerozine. It's a forged carbon chain drop, or chain anti-drop part. That comes in at 8 grams. So I wanted to put that on there. I felt like that would kind of match the aesthetics of the build and everything. So that's the front derailleur. Rear derailleur is the Super Record. So the Super Record standard covers all the cassette sizes. And by the way, the large cog on this cassette I got, I think, is a 32. So it's pretty good size for all around use. The rear derailleur is 200 grams. There we go. And then anybody that knows Campagnolo knows that they do this kind of weird bottom bracket where they actually put the bearings actually live on the crank versus on the cups themselves. So these are still sealed. I'm going to weigh them in the bags, so that'll be a little bit heavier. 40 grams for those cups. And those are these I actually found locally at a shop. and it's just technically it's record, but I think that's the same. It's the same thing. Then cable set. Yes, the shifters would come with a cable set. However, I decided for this build I wanted to do white cables, and I was actually able to track down a white Campagnolo cable set from a shop in Pittsburgh, I think it was, and he was able to ship those out. So these are, I think, I think these might be the last white Campagnolo cables in the country, at the minimum in the US here. So yeah, going with those cables on this build, because I felt like they would, I didn't want a black cable to stand out. I wanted to minimize the exposure of the cables on this build. And then the group set, yeah, let's weigh those. Sure, we'll weigh that cable set here. Again, cables in the bag with all the cables and instructions in there. So obviously this will be a little over what the reality is. Cable set actually comes out to $247. So I assume after I take out the ferrules and cut stuff to length and give the instructions out, it's probably closer to 220 grams or so. All right, and now the levers, which actually do have a couple cables already installed. So we've got the nice Super Record. You get those nice Super Record shifters, the pressed carbon, the ergonomics, which I haven't tried, but I hear the ergonomics is amazing. They do have, what's different is there is a thumb shifter. I do have on my gravel bike, I have E2 or L2 group set, and that uses the thumb shifter as well. So I'm kind of used to that already. So that is the right shifter. That's coming out to 184. And let's see, let's get there, 185. Let's get this other shifter on there. So the shifters come out to 373. And then of course the crank set. And that's got okay. And then of course you've got the crank set. I got an amazing deal on this crank set. It is the size I wanted. Most will say it's probably not what I should get. It is a 172.5 length, and I went with the classic 5339 gearing. It's definitely bigger than what I've got on my modern road bikes, but my vintage 3 Rancho has that same kind of gearing. So to keep some traditional stuff on there, I went with that. And you see it's still got all the stickers on it. It's got a little plastic cup on here to protect the bearings. So we'll weigh that on here. So the drive side comes out to 457 with the plastic cup. And then the non-drive side, it comes out to 648. So 648 grams there. Yeah, there's still the decals on here. I did purchase an frame protector, not frame protector, but crank protector material. So I am going to put some crank protection on here to protect the carbon on here. keep from getting any scuff marks or stuff like that on here, which I think on that, how pretty that is, definitely want to keep that protected as long as possible. All right, and then last part for the group set is brakes. And so I had actually initially picked up a set of used Super Record brakes, and was planning to go with that. But I also found an amazing deal on some original eeBrakes, which I've heard amazing things about, and I know those are very light. So I've decided I'm going to build it up with the eeBrakes. I think that the cables are probably going to be a little bit longer to build it up with the eeBrakes. So if I decide I want to go backwards and go to the Super Records, the Super Records for any aesthetic reasons, I should be able to do that. But just for comparison's sake here as well, the Super Records come in at 318 grams with pads and mounting bolts. And the eeBrakes come in at right at exactly 200 grams with pads and bolts, or mounting bolts as well. Originally when I got these, they did not have the mounting hardware, so I had to get those directly from King Creek, and theirs are aluminum versus a steel on the Super Records. So that's pretty much it for the drivetrain. Aside from that, there's some little campy bits here and there. The frame stops. I got the silver chrome frame stops, and those are going to come in at, missing one of them. There it is. There's one. So the first one's 10 grams. 10 grams there. The bolts are still sealed in a bag, so we'll throw those on. 2 more grams for the bolts, including the plastic bag they're in. So another 20 grams for those. And then the chain, we covered that earlier. That is the Campy Super Record C-Link chain, so it is expected to have a quick link. And the chain waxed is 228 grams. And moving along, let's go to the wheels. That's kind of the next big component. So I decided, wheels took me a long time. They were the last part that I picked up because I was debating for a long time how I wanted to do the wheels. Originally I was debating doing a vintage hub with a modern carbon rim, because I knew I wanted to do a modern rim with a 50 mil profile, but I was undecided on the hubs. And like I first said, for a long time I had debated going with a classic vintage Campy hub. Unfortunately, they really have a large spoke count on any of the ones that you can really buy, unless it was some of the Shimals or something like that, which really came as full built wheels. Then I was thinking about going with the Onyx Racing hubs for the super quiet, always engaging rear cassette. But those are super heavy and expensive. So ultimately what I ended up with was a set of carbon speed rims and hubs. So these are their new rim. It's a rim brake rim, 50 mil deep, using carbon spokes and their proprietary hubs. So, and I went with a gloss UD finish, and I think it looks really good, and it works. I think it's going to work really good with the bike when we get to that point. So the nice thing about these is they are super light. So we'll go with the front here. Front comes in at 587. And then the rear, see if we can balance this one or not. The rear, and this is a Campy cassette, so the rear comes in at 707. Can't do the math on my head on that, so that is like 1296 or something like that. Is that right? Let's see if we can stack these. I don't think we're going to be able to. Oh. No, not quite. So just for the split second, oh, there we go. Yeah, so the two wheels combined with the fancy super balancing act. Oh, come on, focus. They come in at $12.94 for the set. Yeah, I was debating the carbon spokes or not. Concern maybe is compliance, but being a steel frame, that should have some pretty good compliance. And I did go with 54 tooth engagement. And of course, everybody wants to hear what that sounds like. So there we go. And then I'm going to pair these with, they are, oh, and by the way, these are a internal rim width of, I think it was 20, they're not super wide, they're about 23 millimeters internal, which for a rim brake rim is pretty good. So I'm going to pair those with the Continental GP5000s in a let's, oh, that's an interesting packaging they have there. These are going to be the 28 mil width with the transparent sidewalls. So I felt that that was probably the best fit for this bike. And that comes in per tire $287 for one tire. And let's see how the other one comes in. Oh, that has the piece of paper. Let's get that out of there. Let's do that again. Let's see. 287 was before. 280. So that piece of paper was 280 grams, or it was 8 grams. And then the other one is 285. So that's going to be the wheels and tires. And then moving on, saddle. For better or worse, I like the Bontrager Aeolus Elite saddle. Came on my Trek Madone, and I've been very happy with that. So I've been kind of duplicating that around. So this is actually, I think, the third one, because I've got one on the San Rencho. I've got the one on my Trek Madone, and I bought their kind of gravel version and put that on my gravel bike. So the saddle comes in, and this was the, which version was this? This is the Elite. So this comes in at 225 grams. For seat post, going with the Ritchey SuperLogic. This is the FlexLogic seat post. Again, I have one of these on my other on one of my other bikes and really like that. I had to change out a seat post that was slipping. Always kept sliding. Was a vintage post that I found previously for my other bike that reviews actually said back when they were new they would slip like that. So not a surprise. So this seat post, and this is full length. It can be cut down a little bit, I think, once I get it in there. This comes in at 158 grams. And then I guess the last couple parts, whether controversial or not, I had a hard time trying to decide on what I wanted to do for handlebars. Originally, I wanted to keep, for aesthetics, I wanted to keep a silver bar with silver stem, and I found this Zip service course. This was the service course 80. I had found that and actually ordered it out of Europe from Switzerland. But it comes in, I thought it was more of a polish, like a traditional, but it's more of a bead blasted finish. So I'm not super keen on how that looks. So that might be for sale for anybody that is interested in that kind of bar. I'll move some things here to get this on the scale. So that bar comes in at 325 grams. And this was for myself, wanted a little more comfort than my other bike. So went with a 400 or 40 centimeter wide bar. But then I was debating for a long time of what I wanted to do for bars. And with handlebars being so expensive, I've been happy with a set of bars just like this from LightBicycle, I think it was. I can double check and put a link in later, but I think it was LightBicycle. I have this set of bars in I think a 38 on my titanium Lightspeed, and relatively happy with them. The palm surface is kind of big, but overall pretty happy with them. And but I couldn't decide between that bar, and they also make another bar that's a little bit different. See, it's a little shorter profile here, and these are a shorter reach bar, shorter reach and shallower drop. And I couldn't decide which way I wanted to go. I've been riding on my bikes. I ride mostly in the hoods like this, so I feel like I'm gonna go with this other bar. And again, this is in a 400, 40 centimeter, 400 millimeter width, which is pretty good for me. If I went for a fit, they may even want to put me on a 42 potentially. So I have fairly wide shoulders. But I'm gonna go with this one, see how it feels, because I've been kind of feeling like I want to be a little bit shorter here and not have as much of my heel of my hand on the bar on there. So we're gonna see how that works out. But these two come in, the ones that I'm not using, that comes in at 276, and the ones that I am planning to use here come in at 254. So a little bit lighter on those. So give me your thoughts and opinions on those either way. But I know a lot of people are concerned about the China bar, but I know LightBicycle is quite reputable, and I've had them on another bike for over a year now and been pretty happy with those. Last couple of bits, the last few parts that we're gonna see. Bar tape, I'm going with the Supacaz bar tape, and I ordered two because I couldn't decide which one I wanted to go with. These are their Splat, I think, schemes. Yeah, Splat. So I got two versions, one that's a more white and one that's a more black. And I feel like these have a very kind of 80s-ish aesthetic, which is, you know, fitting with the bike. I was thinking about doing sort of a purple pink fuchsia color, as we might call that, but I just could not find something that really matched. And instead of trying to find a match that didn't work, going with this that is more of an 80s type aesthetic. And then next set of larger parts here, I am going to be using Shimano Ultegra pedals, which is what I have on pretty much all my bikes. Just love them. These, though, I am going with the +4 spacing on those. The reason I did that is I had converted on my Trek Madone, I had converted a set to the Favero power meters, the Shimano version, and those are a bit wider than the standard, and I feel more comfortable on that than the standard width Shimano pedals. So these are going to weigh in. Those weigh in at 260 grams, 259, 260 grams. So going with those, once everything gets put together to end out the bars. A lot of traditionalists won't like this, but in modern day safety, will be adding the Spurcycle bar end mirror. This is the new R35 Pro. So this is the aluminum body and glass mirror. I haven't used the metal ones before, but the older plastic ones I've used on a couple of bikes, and I think that they are the best optical quality out there if you're looking for a mirror. And then also doing a bell, and going with just the black Spurcycle bell. However, hopefully by the time I am posting this, I'll be able to share it. Spurcycle is working on a new bar and mount. So this can be mounted, the bell will attach on here and go in as a bar end plug. So it's going to be a really nice, discreet bell. I've got similar bells mounted. I've used in the past. I've used the Canyon bar end bell. So I like that here because you can get it with the drops just with your pinky right there. So it's out of the way. You don't have anything up on the bars. Last details are keeping with the vintage aesthetic, going with the vintage Nitto bottle cages. I saw these on a bike while I was up in Seattle at Rodriguez Bike Shop and Builder, and I saw those and decided I had to have this style cages, and I found a few of those. So for 2 cages, they came in at 105 grams, which is it's a bit heavier than carbons and stuff like that, but definitely relatively lightweight in the grand scheme of things. And then finally to skewers. Again, that was another area of just trying to decide what to do. And for the skewers, I found Omni Racer skewers online and ordered a set of those in black. I've seen something, maybe not these exact ones, but I've seen some similar ones on some other bikes, and like the small, clean, aesthetic look of the this style skewer. And those, the pair of those comes in at 46 grams. So overall, I think this is going to be a pretty good build. I haven't been mentally adding up all the parts in my head, but I think ultimately it's going to probably be close to a 17-pound build, I think, for a steel bike, which I think is quite good. So that's all the pieces. And next up in the next video, we will start building.